Hello, my friends. My name is Ryan Freeman. Welcome to my life. Welcome to episode 4 of my first backpacking trip to Europe. Paul, Bob, and I leave Oliver and Amira, and we drive back over those massive Swiss mountains, enjoying the sights, enjoying the view, enjoying the music and Mr. Blue, and a lot of conversation. Now, I had a few questions from my dear old Uncle Bob. I was starting to admire this man, the way that he lived, his freedom, his righteous cause against the forces of evil, but I was so baffled by the fact that he actually abandoned us in our greatest time of need. He brought us to this protest in episode 3. Go watch that if you haven't watched it yet. And he abandoned us as soon as it started to get a little hot and heavy without even telling me where he was going. And so I asked him, I said, Unc, along this drive with the scenic vistas, I asked him, I said, Unc, what happened, man? You brought us to fight your fight, and then you vanished on me without saying a word. And he said,
I have studied the I Ching. Within its pages, the Chinese have answered life's toughest riddles. When evil becomes insurmountable, the wise man scampers off.
what can I say? My unc's always got an answer for everything. And he's fond of quoting ancient Chinese wisdom. There was always... So, I love my uncle, and I thank him to my dying day for helping us get this trip going and for being such an instrumental role in all of this. But, whenever you live with someone or whenever you share life, even adventures, there's always a little bit of tension. So, like when we get back to Hertenstein and we're enjoying these beautiful lake days, Bob's having us do the scouring of the dishes. Bob is criticizing the way that my friend Paul is using the toilet. He tells us, guys, I know in America you're probably allowed to pee standing up, but in this house, my wife can smell even a drop of urine that is splashed off of the toilet bowl. So in this house, you need to sit down while you pee. And I did it, actually. I followed it. I was a little scared of his anger because my Uncle Bob is the happiest guy. But when he gets angry, he gets his face and contorts it to such a horrifying visage that I never want to see that again in my life. So yeah, I sat peeing down. But I guess my proud, male, masculine, muscled friend Paul didn't do that. And so Bob, one time, he just exploded out of the bathroom and is like, who's been standing peeing in the bathroom? And I was like, not me. And Paul's like, that was me, Bob. Like a little guilty child. And Bob just, you gotta do that. So he would explode in anger, and then we'd say, okay. Another time, Bob took a shower, and I guess there was a little dampness on his towel, and so he comes in again. We gotta get this towel thing straight. Who's been using my towel? And again, that was Paul, and a lot of anger. Another example, just in the flow of this, Bob had a pack of American Spirit cigarettes unopened. That was his favorite cigarette brand. He would open it, smoke them. He left them in our room, the room that we were using. And so Paul's girlfriend, Nessie. So I introduced Nessie in episode 2. When we got back to Switzerland, Paul and Nessie got closer and closer and closer. Oftentimes, we would be at the local bar in Vecchus. We'd be dancing there, me, Bob, and Paul. We'd get there at 10 p.m. The dancing wouldn't start until midnight, which is very different from here in America. People are already pretty drunk and woozy on the dance floor here in Southern California. But there, parties start very, very late. So we'd be dancing, mingling, talking with girls. Paul would disappear around 1 a.m. Then he would show back up at Bob's at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m. the next day. And he would be disappearing to his new best friend, Nessie, with her giant schnauzer guarding the entrance. He would get past, I think his name was Timmy, the giant schnauzer, and spend nice evenings with Bob's best friend in Vecchus, now Paul's very intimate friend. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. That was how she always greeted you, no matter where you were. Shanti meaning peace in Hindi. Shanti 3 times, one for the body, one for the mind, one for the spirit. and she would always have a joint rolling in her hands. Beautiful, perfect, crisp joint rolls. Paul said the best joint roller he's ever seen, and he's seen a lot. And she would put the joint in your mouth. Me, not so much, because I wasn't smoking all that often. But Paul and Bob loved going to Nessie's to get that smoke. But Paul going there, and one time he said he woke up. I remember he told me this. He woke up in Nessie's bed like 4 a.m., middle of the night, opens his eyes, and he sees Nessie awake looking at him with her piercing blue eyes. Not more piercing than mine, sorry. Didn't mean to freak you out. So, like, several times he would wake up in the middle of the night and Nessie was just staring at him. And then she would just go, boom, boom, and hand him a joint, like 3, 4 a.m. Is there any wonder why he was in love with this girl? You know, his perfect girl. And then she even, like, I think she offered or told my uncle that she was needing to hire a gardener and maybe Paul would be her gardener. So this was going to be a way for Paul to stay in Europe and make some money and work as this wonderful angelic dream of his fantasies paid him to stay there in Switzerland, gardening this nice manor house where she lived with her wild, eccentric, fallen, noble father in the property above. Kind of strange, right? But kind of cool. That's what happens. Anyways, so Nessie comes over to Bob's house one day, beautiful sunny day, and she's rolling joints and smoking. We're all smoking together. Well, I'm just chilling. And Nessie likes to put tobacco with her weed, as I mentioned in episode 2, sort of Swiss joints. And so she didn't have any tobacco, but there was that pack of American Spirits, Bob's cigarettes, and we were all sharing things. Paul and I had even bought a sack of weed. See, in Switzerland, you could actually buy marijuana, even though it was technically illegal. They still had some shops, like head shops, that sold marijuana out in the open. So we had picked up some marijuana at some point and had it in our room. Bob had like a very sort of esoteric library with strange pyramid sculptures, and Paul placed the marijuana on the pyramid, and Paul would come to me and he'd say, Ryan, have you been smoking the weed? And I was like, even though I had paid for half of it, I wasn't smoking it. Like, it was basically Paul's stash. I just chipped in because I'd smoke once in a while. And, you know, as we were traveling partners, I like to share in whatever we were doing. I said, no, man. He's like, dude, the stash is getting smaller. I'm like, I don't know, maybe it's my uncle. And so Paul was starting to suspect, so adding to that tension that was happening, starting to suspect that maybe Bob was pinching his weed. And then we found out later that actually, yes, Bob was pinching his weed. No apologies. Bob is notorious weed pincher. When we were, my wife and I, in 2018 at his new place in Madeira, he was pinching people's weed over there. So, you know, careful of the weed pinchers if you like to keep your weed. And Bob would just like, this weed is like even stronger because it's on my pyramid statue. Pyramid power! So, you know, far out ideas. But anyway, so Nessie wanted to roll this joint, and she wanted some tobacco, and so we opened my Uncle Bob's American Spirit box of cigarettes, and opened up one of the cigarettes, just one cigarette, and used some of the tobacco to roll the joint. And later on, Bob's like, who opened my pack of cigarettes? You know, who's been pinching Paul's weed? And Paul's like, me. So, like, poor Paul, right? He's like, Paul's the nicest guy. He doesn't want anyone to have a bad day. He's like the most harmonious guy, doesn't want any drama, but Bob is just on him about pissing, about using his towel, and then now opening his pack of cigarettes. Which really, I don't even know if that was Paul's idea or if that was my idea or Nessie's idea. But he took the blame. And so Bob explains, I bought that pack of cigarettes to give it to my friend because I borrowed a pack of cigarettes from him. And so I can't give him a pack that's already been opened. So I need you, Paul. Today, you're going to need to ride a bicycle all the way to Lucerne to get that same pack of cigarettes because that's the only store that sells American spirits. And Paul's like, what? So he puts Paul on a rainbow bicycle that he like found. Like he literally found that bicycle by like a bus station. So one thing about bicycles in Switzerland at that time, 2003, I don't know if it's changed or not, most bicycles were not locked. So even in the city of Lucerne, like you just find bicycles laying next to trees. People didn't lock their bicycles. Some people did, but most people didn't. Bob had found this bicycle, and then months later, actually, I was riding this bicycle, and this woman pulls up and says, hey, that's my son's bicycle. So Bob had actually stolen this bicycle, but he thought he was just claiming it. Whatever. So he puts Paul on this bicycle, but it falls apart as Paul has to ride like almost 2 hours to get to Lucerne. Up and down hills, hot summer, hottest summer Switzerland's had in, I think, I said 4 decades in the first or second episode. It was actually like 4 centuries. To find this cigarette store in this city, he has, the only map he has is like a handwritten map. You guys remember what life was like before navigation was really popular? I mean, you'd have to like do a hand-drawn map. So Paul's following like one of those rough sketches of the area, going through these little villages, beautiful, mind you, to get to Lucerne, to get this pack of cigarettes. And he's dead thirsty because he's got no water. It's like a real shitty bicycle. The bolts are falling off. He has to stop every once in a while to tighten them up. He gets in. He goes to the supermarket. He wants a chocolate milk. He buys a chocolate milk, goes outside, starts to drink it, and it was chocolate yogurt. So I don't know if you ever remember that. It was like that movie with Ron Burgundy, Will Ferrell, and he goes, milk was a bad idea. I mean, that's what Paul did, but it was like chocolate yogurt was a bad idea, and throws the bottle. Gets the cigarettes, comes back, and placates Bob. And then Bob not only ends up smoking the pack that Nessie and Paul had opened to use the tobacco for the Swiss joint, he not only smokes that entire pack, but he ends up smoking the new pack that Paul got. Never gives the pack to his friend. So that's my Uncle Bob. Love this guy. He's a character. So yeah, Paul's romance with Nessie is just blossoming. She's offering him a job as her gardener. He's there every night. I'm getting a little jealous, but we're all friends together. But my compadre is just disappearing on me. Oh yeah, so there was a palm reader, a hand reader named Monique in the city, and I guess she had read Bob's hands, had read Bob's wife's hands, and had read Nessie's hands. Nessie's hands, I guess, revealed things to this hand reader, this palm reader, that was so personal that Nessie broke down and cried. Bob swore that she was amazing, and I guess she was reading hands for free because she was a student. She had to read 100 hands before she could actually start to charge people, so she was basically under an apprenticeship to a master. So Bob brings us there. I am very wary because I grew up as an American Baptist evangelical with the idea that any sort of fortune telling, any sort of astrological, numerological, palm reading, anything under that vein is just evil, evil, evil of the devil. But I'm away from my family in this new land under the influence of my uncle who swears by her. So I go under the idea that I'm going to see her read Paul's prints, and if she's not summoning devils, then I'll give it a try. And so we meet Monique. She's a really sort of not witchy woman, but kind of witchy woman. Blonde hair, single mother with a young daughter, lots of hair flowing from under her armpits, which I don't mind. And it's kind of nice sometimes. Sorry. So she reads Paul's prints. So she gets Paul's hands and puts them in ink, puts it on a piece of paper, and reads the patterns on his fingerprints, reads the pattern on his palm, also looks at the shape of his fingers. And she's using the ink as well as just looking at his hand and comparing what the patterns that she sees and the shapes that she sees with her book. She had like a big white folder with pages that were indexed. So I don't know that much about palmistry, but basically if there was a swirl on your finger here, then a twirl, then a swirl, then a wavy line, whatever, she would look up that combination and then read you what that says about your character. And she explained that it has a long history, that it was very popular for kings and even Roman emperors to use this system to sort of understand people's character and people's fate. Think of it what you will, but her reading of Paul's fortune, of his character, of his weaknesses and strengths was so spot on that I allowed her to read mine, and it blew me away. It blew Paul away. Paul said she nailed me. I think a lot of times with any sort of fortune telling, you tell someone something so general that almost everyone in the world can identify with it. So it always feels like it's true. And we always like people talking about ourselves. And we're always, yeah, that's right. I do have these issues, or I am good at that, right? But I do have to say, I don't know how I'd feel about it if I did it now, but at the time, it blew me away, and it opened me up to the possibility that there might be some basis for palm reading, because of course, the testimony of Nessie crying because the palm reader read things in her lines that no one knew. Bob and Bob's wife swearing by it. But just what she said about Paul. And I won't get into the specifics because I think that kind of stuff should be a little personal. But yeah, so we got our palms read. And then from there, I guess I'm going to finish it. That was just a short episode. Not a lot of fireworks, just a little bit of drama with Bob. A lot of fun that we were having a blast. I know, I kind of highlighted some of the stress, but we were having a blast. Sometimes we would arrive in town just at the right time where they were having this wonderful festival with traditional Swiss musicians and sausages and fresh beer. So it was a wonderful time. And the next episode is going to get very interesting because we are going to do some traveling again and meet some very interesting characters, and I have a little romantic episode coming up soon. So I'll see you on the next episode, I hope.